always dancing like
always
crazy.
dancing.
Everybody else dancing when we listen to our intro music and our outro music. Outro music. How was your week then, Greg?
It's been good. It's been busy, but it's been good.
I want to point out that Greg is wearing orange today.
Yes.
And that he has kind of bastardized his Math Ontario shirt there. That is actually his math shirt with a Hacktoberfest WikiTree.
That's right. There we go.
I say, you know, the mother of invention. There you go. That's Greg. Greg is the mother of invention today. Oh, wonderful week. You know what Monday is, don't you?
Monday is Halloween. It's also the end of the last official day of Hacktoberfest.
Are you having your last Hacktoberfest thing on Monday?
No, we had our last regular Thursday update this past Thursday, and then the official closing of it will take place on WikiTree Day at 10 a.m. I'm hosting a technology panel, and at that point we will officially end off Hacktoberfest and reveal all the different things that have happened.
What time is that at the 10? Is that the one that's across from me?
I don't know. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. So I don't know.
I said to Ao, and I said, "You realize you put Greg and I back to back?"
No.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm not going to have anybody in my talk now.
Well, I don't know.
I've got
all the people are. Oh no! But they can watch yours on replay, I guess. But still,
they can watch mine. Yeah, they can watch you on replay.
They can watch mine on replay.
Yeah, you can watch mine live. You're so funny.
Oh yes.
You know, do you have any unusual deaths in your research? Have you found any unusual deaths? This is a great question of the week.
Yeah, it is. It's a great question of the week. So the one I found when not in my immediate family, but when I was doing one of the WikiTree challenges, connected. I think it was last year. I was researching a family in Quebec, and I found the death of one person. Well, I guess there was two of them, the same family. One was a sort of a tragic one. I found this one record, and I had to translate it. It was in French, but it was extra long. And I thought, because, often these ones they sort of follow the same formula, right? Starts out with the priest identifying themselves and bragging about who they are and what church they belong to. And then the details about the deceased and people present. And then that's it. But this one had like a whole extra paragraph. And it was because it described that not only the person that I was looking for, but 6 other names, because they'd all drowned in a boating accident or an accident, like a boating accident off the river. A ship had.
Well, okay. So you get the gist of what today's question of the week is going to be like. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The other one, to balance that though, the next person I looked up, I found it was a husband and a wife who had just died one day apart. Like they were both in their 80s or something, and they just and then they were buried in the same day of the funeral. They had the same funeral. Oh, thank you.
Have an M&M, but they're poisonous.
Oh no! Yes.
One of the answers to the question of the week is about poisoning by eating popcorn, but not because the popcorn was poisonous. Interesting story there. So the question of the week this week is: what unusual deaths have you found in your family research? Always have good questions of the week, but I love the spooky ones. I had a crazy nightmare right before I woke up this morning about being lost in the London transit system.
Ooh.
with a bunch of genies. Yeah, genies are people that are genealogists that we all travel together. So it was with a bunch of genies traveling around, and they got us lost. Of course, I had nothing to do with getting us lost. I had
no, not you.
So I finally got away from them and was about to figure out how to get myself back to the hotel, and I woke up. I woke up startled that I'd forgotten to tell Chris Ferriello something. So I immediately sent a text to Chris because I didn't want to taunt the things. But I started reading the questions of the week in bed before I even got up, and it so cheered me up.
Really? All this spooky stuff about death cheered you up?
All this death talk cheered me up.
Oh, man.
Well, it's Halloween weekend, people. Question of the week: what unusual deaths have you found in your research? Have a comment. I don't normally mention the comments, but I got to on this one. It's Pat Miller. She says, good question, Aowen. Benjamin Wilson, 1909, second cousin, went to the outhouse, locked the door, and shot himself. 24 hours later, the son broke the door down and found him. You know what I did not do this morning? I did not say hello to everybody.
Oh.
So let's go back and do that real quick.
Let's go say hello. Chris is there.
Hillary was the first one. She always wins the race for being the first one in this morning.
Hillary's
Norman
great.
Weston's here. Judy Stutz, Norman. Let's see. I'm here. WikiTree said, hey, this morning. That's me. And this is a special person. Kim Robert showed up. She is connected to one of the question of the week answers in just a minute. Let's see. Janine Eisman. Hey, Janine, how are you? Lisa Gervais, another Ottawa person. So that's 3 of us so far. Let's see. Susan Anderson, John Tyner. Hello, Ireland.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Tommy Buck.
What?
Tommy Buck.
Betsy Coe, Tommy Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Patricia. I lost her. Chris Ferriello. Debbie Root. Okay, you got Julianne. You guys are all here. Mary Todd Allen. I always like that saying her name. I always want to say Mary Todd Lincoln. So the first one is the outhouse suicide. So I'll give you that one. It was a comment, not a question. I didn't pick a best one, so we'll work on that this morning. Daniel Volkman says, my great-grandfather was killed by a drunk driver in a hit and run while he was walking home from his job in Chicago. He was 71. That was 1948. My grandfather and other family members went searching, found the car that hit him. They had the matching hood ornament. Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
There wasn't enough evidence to convict. Oh. They found the hood ornament on the man's body.
Yeah.
I loved, we got some fun looking, I told Greg he's not going to have time to do his stuff today. I'm going to take all
That's okay.
One of my maternal third great grandfathers, Samuel L. Archer, died similarly to his son, Nelson Archer, who died just 2 years before. They were both found dead on the side of the road. Their horses went home without them. Foul play was suspected, but not proven. So basically, they were riding, each one of them separately at separate times, were riding home, and their horse came home without them. The family went out and found them. They found bruising and everything. Now, the comment is from Jessica Key. She says the bruising could have been from falling from the horse, and that they probably had some sort of hereditary heart issue or something that just afflicted them at the same spot. I mean, riding a horse would be like driving in a car.
Right.
Unfortunately, we lost a great performer this week.
Yes.
Who had an emergency episode. Leslie Jordan. He had something happen to him in his car while he was driving. So how much different is that from somebody riding a horse?
Right. Does it say what year this was?
This one was...
Because talking about horses, I'm picturing this is like the 1800s or something, but...
No, yeah, I have no idea. And looking at the newspaper, it may have been early 1900s, maybe. March 17th, but it doesn't. They don't have a date on that. Huh. And there's not a link, so we can't go and check it. So the next one from Vic Watt. The wind, storm, and year swept through Chillicothe, Ohio. Now, Chillicothe is something awful happened in Chillicothe later, but I can't remember what it was. But I just remember that Chillicothe, Ohio, was somewhere something bad happened in Chillicothe, Ohio. On the night of July 5th, 1913, 9:30, Charles Watt, 56, who lived on Sugar Street, was electrocuted while walking home. Aww. The windstorm knocked down heavy limb from a sugar tree onto the electric lines. This caused the light pole and its wires to fall. But that's not enough, folks.
No.
It put all the electricity and the street lights of that part of the town out. But the wires fell across the traction trolley's third rail. The third rail is the one that carries the electricity. So not only did he get shocked from the electrical wires from the street lights, but also the trolley wires. Don't ever step on the third rail. And if there's ever a big storm, I mean, we had our 6th tornado breakout here in Ottawa a few years ago. Don't go out and walk around after the storm. Let the crews clean it up. Sorry for your loss, Vic Watt. Let's see. Premature burial. I don't like these stories. in researching Frances Catherine Legge, née Gunter Nicole, I found that her grandmother, Alice Davies, was the victim of a premature burial. Yeah, it's not as you think it is. She drank too much poppy water. She passed out and could not be awakened, was declared dead, buried. It was the summer, and so they buried her quickly.
Right.
Then she was unearthed when some children playing in the cemetery heard cries for help from the grave.
Oh my Lord, how scary would that be?
They dug her up, and she was found to have really died.
What?
And later, they moved her grave, and they realized that she hadn't been dead the second time because she had tried to get herself out after the second burial.
No.
Yeah. I'm looking here. I've got a runaway horse kind of story here in a few minutes. Some of the great comments. Drowned in the canal in upstate New York. Died from pneumonia after falling off a horse. I got a falling off story in a minute. That's great. My second great grandfather, Edward Macaulay Long, was shot in the back while riding his horse across the Missouri River Bridge in 1879. He was coming home from work in Atchison, Kansas, and he was assassinated. Interesting that they called it an assassination instead of a murder. He was 43 and had been a lieutenant in the Union Army. He wasn't at the time, though. But they call it an assassination. They never found the guy, but they call it an assassination. That's from Alexis Nelson. Gored to death by a boar. Yeah. Separating a wild boar from the other pigs on his farm. Yeah, that's kind of gory. That's from Shonda Feather. View the place to locate his family. This one. Tombstone inscription borrowed from that with Shakespeare's tomb, but somewhat in memory of Nathaniel Hickok, who died of cholera on October the 6th. He actually came to town on a boat that was covered up with cholera. He left the boat, didn't have cholera, and then got it after he got to town. Yeah. That was from Dennis Berman. Okay, this one. Okay, I actually went and figured out the pronunciation on this one. So Richard Bimson Neville was a sheriff in Hawaii. In Hawaii, from Liverpool. Yeah. And he was he died as a result of the kauna. Yeah. It was widely reported in newspapers along with the trial of the kauna, some of his cohorts. So basically what happened was that this kauna guy had a end of the earth cult.
Okay.
He was saying that the world was Armageddon was coming, and he was getting his followers together into an area where the volcano wasn't going to destroy this particular part. Then they got evicted from that. There was all this other stuff going on. So eventually there was a big thing where the sheriff was involved, and he ended up being stoned to death. But that's an interesting one. I love that people posted the original articles. Yeah. And the original article was a little bit skewed. So I didn't want to read the original article. If you want to read the original article, it's got some stuff in there that was a bit racist on my. Oh, yes. I didn't want to read it.
Yeah.
But Rob Neff actually found the articles for him, but that's cool. Love that collaborative archaeology.
That is neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Genealogy. Joseph Nichols, toxemia from burns accidentally caused by placing a lit cigarette into his pocket in which matches were, and under the influence of drink.
He
died from the burns. He set himself afire.
Oh no.
That's from Day Garwood.
Did you see the last line in the post? If only the Darwin Awards
were around in his day. And Rick Morley says, in fact, they were.
Yes.
Nice grandparents, Juan Antonio Rodriguez de Castillo, his wife Manuela Delgado y Paquio Carvajal and Anastasia, a slave from Juan Antonio and de Manuela, were murdered, speared in his farm. So I think I have that one up. Oh, yeah, I do. I'm not going to try and read these people.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not going to try and read that. Even this script looks scary.
Yeah, I know.
I have no doubt they got speared. I trust you. I believe
it looks like one of those horse shot diagrams with those blotches.
Yeah, yeah. What do you see in this ink?
Yeah, that's right. Let's see a
see.
frog.
Yeah.
Made for dissection.
Rob Neff. 2 stories. Unfortunately, I don't remember either name. An in-law on my Ungrecht side in the Dakotas, according to the obituary, got a bad case of hiccups and died that evening.
Wow.
Really? Nobody tried to scare the guy?
Or maybe his hiccups upset the people in the house so much that they just had to shut him up. I can't sleep. Boom.
Yeah. Oh, can you stop that noise?
Yeah, that's right.
A woman, I think in Virginia, that I was adding for the U.S. Black History Challenge had an unusual entry for her death certificate. Instead of the usual medical lingo about cause of death, it was written, there wasn't a thing wrong with her. She just up and died. It was very disappointing. Oh, Rob Neff. Crazy.
She just up and died.
Yeah, and let's see. Running from, they're still talking about the horse escaping.
Oh, they're still talking about the horse.
Let's see. My second cousin shot himself. Oh, what the heck is this one? Shot himself out of a cannon from a hot air balloon. So we're all thinking about this. Head first coming out of the cannon.
Yeah.
His parachute malfunctioned. He fell to his death. And it's especially graphic. The man shot himself out of the cannon feet first.
Feet first?
How did he even survive? His parachute didn't open because he couldn't open it. He was already dead.
He was dead. He must have been. Yeah, really.
I'm sorry.
Why would you go feet? Oh, my God. No.
The concussion of the cannon would have killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like pioneer of 2 sports and not a day over 18. I wonder what he would have tried next. What would have killed him next if he had tried?
Exactly.
Sorry, Melissa. Sorry. Pretty spectacular stunt. I can only imagine if it had been successful. His confidence and pride pushed him to do something more spectacular. Okay, and here Kay Smith actually found it. After reading the article, I would be surprised if the charge from the cannon didn't break his neck.
Yeah.
Since he was shot out feet first. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Jill Whitehouse. It seems that being familiar was a dangerous. Being a miller was a dangerous. Being familiar.
Yeah, being familiar with a miller.
Yeah, it was a dangerous occupation. One of my extended family, Whale 291, had a windmill, and both his wife and young son were killed by being hit by the sails. Now, my cousin designs the big GE windmills. There are windmills here that are his design.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I can drive through and say, yeah, that's a golden design. That's a golden design.
Nice.
But I guess in the old days they had the windmill cells down closer to Earth, and people could actually walk into them.
Right.
So that's kind of Don Quixote frame of thought thing.
Yes.
In the 1800s, I had a cousin in the 1800s whose 2 children, 5 and 6, fell into a well that was being dug, and then another couple of cousins died from lead poisoning, and then later hundreds robbed the same bank in Coffeyville, Kansas. Here's another writing example.
Oh, that's at least legible. Well, if you'll blow it up, at least it's not like the chicken scratch like that previous one, which is what a lot of the Quebec stuff looks like.
I think Quebec records, the Drouin records, are beautiful.
Oh, well, it varies. Some of the priests have beautiful writing, and others are just that chicken scratch, like the one you had pulled up earlier. Ancestor
of mine was executed. This is from Daniel Bamberger, 1693, for the first trying to poison her husband, and then when that didn't work, killing him with the help of her lover and trying to make it look like her husband fell from a tree. Can you imagine trying to lug a body up into a limb?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm still not sure if I'm convinced of the evidence. She was either a cold-blooded killer or the victim of heresy or coincidence. And is this written in German?
No,
I see it's written in English. Well, wait a minute. I see an umlaut.
I don't know.
I can't tell. It's, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Till death do you part. Really. Let's see. The most unlikely incident resulting in death that I've encountered was rooted by my uncle James McNichol, a memoir he left. 1872, Tulare County, Kansas. Looking for a good homestead. Their parents and two other members of the family, over 21. One afternoon, they were riding along a wagon track and saw ahead of them a covered wagon, evidently driven by a father with his early teenaged daughter. While the sky didn't seem ominous and it was not raining, a bolt of lightning struck the wagon, killing the driver.
Wow.
Remember, he had an early teenage daughter, wife. The daughter, although she was sitting on the bench next to...
Is her father?
Early teenage daughter. I'm sorry, I thought wife. Whew, okay. Daughter, although she had been sitting on the bench as her father, was not hurt. James and John buried the girl's father, and he and his daughter had been going to meet up with relatives not far away. They left the girl and just went on their way.
What?
Yeah, they just left her and went on their way.
They just buried her father and just left her on her own.
Yep. I'm not sure that story actually came out right.
Okay. I thought it was going to end with James or John, marrying the daughter. But no, they abandoned. Well, so they were half chivalrous and then clueless.
Leanne Deer does a good job of writing this eloquently. We tootle along in our compilations of family history and try to make decent profiles for our ancestors. Every once in a while, we come across one of them we remember being told about, though the particular details of their life got lost through time. Then out of the blue, bam! Years, nay, decades later, we're smacked in the face with evidence of what really happened, and we realize Grandma didn't go into enough detail. Okay, but the newspapers of that earlier period when the events took place sure did. Unfortunately for Grandma and her social dignity. In a nutshell, Grandmother's older sister wasn't a good judge of character, married a man who turned out was wanted for murder, killed his first wife while the two of them were drunk, fled the state, married a second, deserted her, changed his name, continued to relocate from the original farm, trying to find a geographic safe house. He met Grandma's sister, who was very unworldly, swept her off her feet, actually took care of her, being a sweet person. Stayed with my grandparents for a while before moving on. Eventually, he seemed fine until the law, chasing him from the end of the country to the other, finally caught up. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Sometimes our grandparents don't tell us the whole story.
Yes, that's right.
Oh. Toronto's Mount Pleasant Cemetery discovered a second great uncle of whom I'd been completely unaware, Benny Cameron, whose name is around the corner from his parents on their memorial. Got to finding out about him. His two wives and at least 7 children. The eldest, named Benny Cameron, served in the Canadian Expeditionary Forces. I almost said Canadian. Because Canada is just up the street.
Right, yes.
During World War II, but was continually in poor health, underwent frequent hospitalization after being subjected to tonsillectomy and hemorrhoidectomy. Ow!
Both ends.
He was diagnosed with chronic bronchitis, discharged, and unfit for service. 10 years later, died when he was accidentally poisoned by illuminating gas used for street lighting.
Wow.
How do you do that?
I don't know. Accidentally poisoned by illuminating gas.
Was he streetlight huffing?
Yeah, streetlight huffing. Yeah, really. So this was after the war of the war ended in 1918. Did they still use streetlights? Like, wouldn't they be electric lights by then?
Yeah, I imagine that there was a time like we're changing over our money to King Charles now, but it'll be a long time before that money comes into circulation.
Right.
So like with gas, they got to put in all those gas lines and all that. So, because you can't put those above ground.
No.
Because people will find them and huff them.
And huff them. Apparently.
Dan McNally says, my great uncle Thomas Wilfred Colomb Jr. died in 1919 when he was 8 years old. He and a group of other children were swimming in a quarry in Rutland, Vermont. He was on a raft which tipped over and he drowned. I can't imagine the pain my grandparents suffered. He was the second of their 8 children to die as children. The first passed away when he was only a baby. Now, that is not a weird or crazy story, but it's still heartwarming. And it's an unusual story. There you go. So many unusual death stories. One account I read was a direct ancestor of mine, up my Mobley branch. Mobley branch. Now that's almost an adjective. Up my Mobley. Up my tree when the Revolutionary War was going on, of Middleton Mobley's military service. Say that 3 times.
Oh really my goodness.
As a loyalist and subsequent death by hanging, one story said patriots hung him, left the scene, his wife cut him down alive, and then he was hung again later in 1782. Whether this rehanging occurred or not, it's still an unusual event. I have my fifth great grandfather was hanged. He was a patriot in the Revolution. He was hanged because he overheard the Bloody Bill Cunningham. His men were talking about going to the Hubbs house to hang Mr. Hubbs for being a patriot. So my teenage ancestor ran through the woods, warned the Hubbs, hid Hubbs under a pile of hay for the cows. Oh my goodness. The Tories came, they searched the hay, they searched the whole farm for Hubbs, couldn't find him, hung my ancestor, Charles Allen, because they figured he knew something because he shouldn't have been there. When they left, they cut Charles Allen down, or I wouldn't be here, and he survived.
I was going to say, if he was a teenager when he did this, then he got busy early. If he was your ancestor.
He survived. And another funny story about Charles Allen is that he was one of the people who decided where the courthouse was going to be, where the center of town was going to be in Lawrence County, South Carolina. And they were walking through the woods trying to figure out where to put the courthouse. Found a guy with a still, stopped for a while, got so drunk that when they finally got up to the top of this hill, they said, okay, this has to be it because we're not going any further. There you go. I got another thing to share. I said that Kim Roberge is in here because I'm going to talk about Alphonse Desjardins. Now, I've been talking about Kim because Kim's aunt, Victoria Marie Alain Roberge, was married to Alphonse Desjardins, which is my spouse's great-grandfather. And this family has the whole family, not just this part of the family, they have an interesting thing about fire. So unusual deaths. So Alphonse died in, where is it? He died in, do I not have it written down? Yeah, Alphonse Desjardins died in the Parliament Hill fire in February of 1916 here in Canada. Now, it is a fairly well-known fire, a huge fire that happened. And at the time of the fire, they think that it was the Germans who had set the place on fire. Now, Alphonse was a brown coat, was the precursor to the RCMP. So he was looking for spies at Parliament as well as protecting the parliamentary people that were there. And he spent some time running back and forth into the burning building to help get people out of the building. So he's responsible for saving a lot of people. But one of the weirdest things about this, if you go into our Parliament Hill today, you will see a plaque that lists the names, and you'll see Alphonse Desjardins, and then you'll see Alphonse Desjardins again. So the fire claimed 7 victims: Randolph Fanning, a post office employee; Alphonse Desjardins, a boiler room maintenance worker; and his namesake, I added that, nephew, a police officer also named Alphonse Desjardins. They were crushed by a collapsing ventilation tower as they helped colleagues flee. Okay, so that's the one thing. Okay, here, let's jump over to Andrew Curran, 1886 to 1915.
Okay,
This
the year
is
before.
my spouse's other great-grandfather, Andrew Curran. Now, first off, in 1913, I believe, children meet death when home caught fire. So Andrew and his wife go out on Christmas morning to hook up the horses to take the kids into their grandparents' house for Christmas. There's only one child that's not there. She's already at the grandparents' house, and that is Betty. They had split the house in two and were building onto the house to make the house bigger. Well, back then, when you wanted to insulate, you used newspapers.
Right.
So they had lit a big fire in this under construction house to warm it up so the kids could get up, get dressed, get themselves together to go for Christmas.
Oh.
The house caught on fire and all of the kids died.
Oh.
Okay, that's one story. So here's that story about the fire.
Oh,
then Mr. Curran, Andrew Curran, was working after a fire at the experimental farm. The big dairy farm at the experimental farm, this beautiful farm, caught on fire in 1913 and had heavy damage. And he worked on repairing that. He was a carpenter. He built and designed and built a lot of the houses that are currently still standing in Westboro, part of Ottawa. He was on that and had some sort of paralytic stroke. Now, whether it was sunstroke or what happened, but he fell after repairing the fire damage and died a week later from his injuries from that. Let's see.
Wow.
So, and then this.
So even though he didn't die by fire, if it hadn't been for the fire and the work he was doing to repair it, he died.
Right. Then this family, for the Desjardins family, Victoria Roberge, Kim Roberge's aunt, they were all living in a building on Dalhousie Street in downtown Ottawa that had a candy factory in the basement or the first floor of the building.
Wow. The
candy factory caught on fire and everything burned. So we have no family pictures or anything.
Oh, no.
Kim Roberge has been sharing family pictures with me. How exciting is that? Thank you, Kim.
That is great.
So that's my weird, unusual story about deaths. Okay.
Wow.
So let's go back to this. Look, it's 9:30, Greg.
Right. And we've just gone through page one. Woohoo. All right.
If you guys are having fun, say you're having fun, or we'll get rid of me and turn to Greg. Hey, how are you doing? Second great-granduncle with the 1st Northwest Mounted Police, now RCMP to die on duty. That's sad. But good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, lots of fires, lots of Ottawa history in this family, big time. Oh, and look, Kim says you are most welcome, Max. How cool is that? And look, Lisa's like Ottawa stories. Yeah. And Greg and I were commenting on the fact that there are so many people who post in the question of the week about Canada stuff.
Yes.
And we wondered if we were influencing that in some way.
That's right. We're not scaring away Americans. We're just attracting more Canadians, right?
We are.
That's right.
Let's see. Maggie N. Not my family, but I've been researching the ancestors of singer-songwriter Nancy Griffith, who was one of my favorite songwriters. I have met her, and her great-grandfather was murdered. Wesley Benton Anderson, who owned a boarding house, I believe, while escorting a group of rowdy men out of his boarding house. There's that story. Let's see. Thank you, Maggie. Second great-granduncle died at the age of 7 when the shawl he was wearing got caught in the gears of the mill his father was conducting some business in. Woo!
Oh, that's nasty.
That's from John Vasky.
Oh, that reminds me. I have a great uncle who died in a thrashing machine accident.
He was thrashed?
Yeah, he was thrashed. Yeah. Got caught into the feeder that takes the stuff in and chops it all up. Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, that was nasty. I mean, this is way before I was born.
Answer of the week.
What's that?
Why didn't you put that up for the question of the week?
Well, I haven't actually made his profile yet. This is on my adoptive side, and I haven't done all that stuff. I know. Sorry.
Ava Ekblad says in the death book 1694 for my favorite parishes, Skinskatteberg, there are two related entries for the deaths of two educated but unwise young men who accidentally poisoned themselves by snorting nose powder. One of them had pilfered from among the medicaments in the chamber of a former apothecary, current copper mine owner George Brandt. The powder smelled sweet. No, they snorted this powder they found in a.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. Great aunt hung herself. She was accused of being a witch. Janice Sawitowski. My great grandfather, Ross Cooksey, bitten by dog, slashed his throat at Mary Sherman Hospital. Now I looked up hydrophobia, and it is a fear of water, and it is something that happens when one has rabies.
Yeah.
Somebody also commented after I did the work of looking it up. It's a major symptom of rabies. So sorry about that. But
I thought those two were actually synonymous, that hydrophobia is just the official name of rabies, but you say they're two different things?
Well, let's see if I can find where I looked that up. I actually looked it up somewhere. You can see all the great...
so he slashed his own throat?
Here we go. Hydrophobia, extreme or irrational fear of water, especially as a symptom of rabies. So not as far as the... You know, Google.
Yeah, Google's your friend.
I have two kind that spring to mind from my tree from an anonymous Zimmer. First would be Guilford B. Lingley, who was 4 years old in 1893 when he was playing with a friend and discovered a box of rat poison. After playing with the box for some while, he eventually goes to the movies with his mother, eats some popcorn in his dirty hands, and yeah. Did you want some M&Ms?
Yeah, maybe not this time.
The other would be Uriel Morehouse, who committed suicide by holding a stick of dynamite to his head. Interestingly, he didn't actually die immediately, even though the larger part of his head and hand were blown off. No. Died at a fair in Canada after the seat of his wagon tipped, which made him fall off. That's from Stephen Sanders. Shocked to learn that two of my great grand aunts trapped in the Precious Blood Church fire in Holyoke, Massachusetts in 1875. Nancy Hicks, great-grandfather Napoleon Descoteaux. Did I say that right?
Descoteaux? Yeah, Descoteaux.
Died from injury sustained when his head was crushed between two rail cars. I had somebody in my family who fell off a train and died.
Wow.
Yeah. Great Uncle McCallum died at 14 under mysterious circumstances. She went to visit friends and recounted the tale of hearing strange music in the forest. She did not return home, was found dead, and around the same place she recounted hearing the music without any mark on her body. That's a spooky one.
Yeah.
That's from Brian Lamoth. Digging for fishing worms in Washington Township, fell dead. Probably had a heart attack or a stroke. Fire engine fell over on him. That's another good one. Sharon Castile.
Wow.
Tip over accident. A spinning wheel fell on a child. I guess the tip over accident for a long time used to be the big heavy TV sets.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? I remember
or panels.
A kid in my kid's school when they were young had that happen. Cringeworthy. Adam Falk, 62 of Swan Township, met death last week in the following manner. He had returned from Avila with his team and was driving them through a large gate into his yard when the gate swung to against the wheel of his wagon, frightening the horses. They ran, pulling him. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Another one down the way is about nipping the tail, pinning the tail of a draft horse. A guy was holding the bridle. The draft horse, when they cut the tail, it hit him, and draft horses are a big, scary thing.
They're big. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. The one, I don't know why they put it in as an entire link, but
that's interesting.
Death certificate, cross the railroad tracks, killed him instantly when the train hit him. Let's see. Employees giving evidence, confirm his death identity. The case was abandoned. He just asked to attend, drop dead in court. Newspaper. This is another man kills wife. See, I'm trying to rush through now. Wait, remember to go through and upvote these question answers. Died from burns when his clothes caught on fire while making apple butter. Now that is a shame.
Aww.
My grandmother, Donna Gerber.
Apple butter. Oh, this was just added 14 minutes ago. Is
I
Donna
was
in
going to
here?
say there's now a third page. That wasn't there.
That wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Is Donna here?
The question
you know what? They're padding the list, Megs, so because they don't want to hear from me. That's the thing. If we add enough stories, Megs will keep on going till 11 o'clock, and then they don't have to.
That would be a first. Okay. Stop it.
No.
I have a relative crushed in a mine rail car. Oh, no, thank you.
No.
Lisa thinks you're funny, Greg.
Well, that's good. At least someone does.
And Aaron Gullison says it's threshing, not thrashing.
Oh, really? Well, maybe. But we always call it, in my part of Ontario, we call it a thrashing machine.
You gotta check Google on that.
I know it's spelled with an E, so it should be threshing, but we call it thrashing.
And people are talking about the Roberge family coming from Russell and Eastview, so that's good. That's from Lisa Gervais. The Ottawans are talking now.
Nice.
And Chris Ferriello says crack, cocaine, nose powder.
Yeah, there's a definite pattern.
My grandmother's sister died at 2. She was by the fireplace and her dress caught fire. Holy crap. And Norman, I agree. These are all
very gruesome. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on in the comments. Check them out. Hey, also, while you're here, go down there and click that like button.
The like button. Yes.
Yep. Give us some likes. Oh, and Donna, look. I'm okay with you going past 11.
Nice.
I'm going to stop my share now.
Wow. Well, those were amazing answers to the question. That was
the good scary stories, gruesome scary stories for Halloween.
Very good, gruesome. You know, I'm not a huge fan of horror films or anything like that. So
I don't like the kind of films where they startle you to death. Yes. I like a good ghost story though.
Yeah.
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 Don't flash a scary
one
face
that's mysterious and
yeah.
I like the mystery. Yeah. Not a huge fan of the gore necessarily.
No.
But speaking of mystery, the master of mysteries, Alfred Hitchcock, is the theme for this week, for this week's profiles.
And Greg, I'm afraid some of the conversation is going to continue for a while.
Oh, I know.
Okay, just let me know.
That's okay. Anyways, Alfred Hitchcock. So now my first connection, or my first the first time I met Alfred Hitchcock was when I was in, I think it was about grade 5. I started reading the Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators. Oh,
that's fun.
You know, did you ever read? It was a series, like it was sort of like the Hardy Boys type. You know, so the main investigators, main characters were three young boys who were young teenagers or something. Jupiter Jones, Pete. There was a Pete Crenshaw, and I can't remember the name of the third one. But anyways, they were fans of Alfred Hitchcock, and they wrote to him sort of to be like, so that he could sort of be their I don't know, mentor or something. And he would sometimes write back. So I mean, he appeared either in the very first or the very last chapter in terms of like he wrote a note, you know. So it was sort of more of it was a gimmick, I guess.
Yeah.
But really, it was just like a Hardy Boys mystery kind of thing. But so that was when I first heard about Alfred Hitchcock, because I wouldn't have been allowed to watch any Alfred Hitchcock movies that young.
Right.
But eventually,
that's why you're as warped as you are.
Yeah, that's right. But he did do lots of really neat things. And so let's go through some of those profiles. So first off with his, Alfred Hitchcock himself, Alfred Joseph Hitchcock, Knight of the British Empire, was born on the 13th of August in 1899. I checked, it's not a Friday the 13th. It was actually on a Sunday he was born. But I thought, wouldn't it have been appropriate if he had been born on a Friday the 13th? But no. In Leytonstone or Leytonstone, Essex, England. I wonder if in England, if you pronounce it Stone or Stun. Son of William John Hitchcock and Emma Jane Whalen. He died 29th of April, 1980 at the age of 80 in Bel Air, Los Angeles. Known as the Master of Suspense. Here's a nice picture of his family. He had one daughter. And so the profile here, they actually excerpts from the censuses, just so you can sort of see his family and his as they progress over time.
You are 32 degrees from Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes, yeah.
So if you guys, for the new people who are in here today, if you're wanting to know how we're saying your connections to these people, go to your profile page on WikiTree and then click on categories, which will get you down to the very bottom of your page really quickly. Go down to category, scroll up, and it'll show Greg is 32 degrees from Alfred Hitchcock. It'll show you all the people that are in our profiles of the week, and you can see how you are related to all of these people. So click on categories.
Categories.
It'll drop you down, and you can see Greg is 32 degrees from Alfred Hitchcock.
And which one's my closest? Is it Cary Grant?
Anthony Perkins.
Oh, Mildred.
Actually. Oh no, it's Cary Grant. No,
Mildred.
It's Mildred Natwick.
Okay, so if I click on that, it'll tell me. So this is interesting. So there's one marriage, another marriage, two marriages, right?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Fun.
Neat. Okay.
Yo mama. I have to say yo mama because Joe Mama's not here.
Joe Mama's not here.
Ooh.
Without
I have something fun to show you guys too.
Oh no. Okay. Anyways, he's got a star, of course, on the Hollywood. So he did leave. He left England and then moved to the States, and then actually became an American citizen. And did lots of film. I like this quote. Unquestionably the greatest filmmaker to emerge from these islands, talking about England. Hitchcock did more than any director to shape modern cinema, which would be utterly different without him. His flair was for the narrative, cruelly withholding crucial information from his characters and from us, and engaging the emotions of the audience like no one else. I like that. Cruelly withholding crucial information. Oh. So then, this Roscoe L. Lee Brown, born 2nd of May, 1922 in Woodbury, Gloucester, New Jersey, died 11th of April, 2007 at the age of 84.
What
LA.
Did he do?
What's that?
What did he do?
So he's most famous probably for being in Soap, and he also played a professor on the Cosby Show, but he was in a Hitchcock film called Topaz.
Oh, see, I was trying to place him in a Hitchcock film and I couldn't.
No, I haven't seen Topaz. That's I've seen many of the ones that are featured in this week's, but I haven't seen every Hitchcock film, and Topaz is one of the ones I have not seen yet. But his face is familiar, so he's done a bunch of stuff. But Soap and the Cosby Show were the ones that are probably more ones that you recognize him from. So along with being an actor, he was also a world-class track athlete. He won a 51 world championship for 800-yard run. Very cool. Moving on, Joan de Beauvoir d'Arion Fontaine, or what she's more commonly known as just Joan Fontaine, who is a sister of Olivia de Havilland. The two, and apparently the two sisters had a rivalry, which was well documented in the media at the height of her career. She married.
Greg, you have 10 minutes left, Greg.
I know.
Left.
So she married lots. She married a number of people, but her connection to, and it goes through all of the people she married, but her connection to Hitchcock was, where was he? Yes. She starred in a movie called Rebecca, which is another one I haven't seen, I don't think. Have you seen Rebecca?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Topaz.
No, okay. And then she starred in Ivanhoe and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. But she won an Academy Award for Best Actress in Rebecca. And she and her sister, according to this, are so far the only two siblings that have both won Academy Awards. At least at the time this profile was created, that's true. I can't think of any other. Can you think of any other two siblings that have both won Academy Awards? I don't know. You'd think there
Shirley
would be.
MacLaine and what's her brother's name? Married. Yeah, Shirley, and what's his name? The one that the song "You're So Vain" was written for.
Oh,
what's his name?
I don't know his name. So if he
I'm
was
gonna look
vain,
up.
he'd be upset that we didn't know his name. Okay. Anyway, moving on, because I only have a few minutes left. Archibald Alec Leach, also known as Cary Grant. I didn't know. Did you know that was his birth name?
Yes,
Archibald?
I did.
You
And
did know that. Okay.
Was he? No, it was the other guy. Not Donald Sutherland. Thank you, though. Warren Beatty.
Oh, Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty.
There we go. Okay. Cary Grant was born Archibald Alec Leach in 1904 in Orfield, Bristol, England, son of Elias Leach and Elsie Marie Kingdon.
One of my favorite actors of all time. This guy. I have every movie he's ever made.
Cary Grant.
Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh.
One of the best one that's hard to find is
Yes.
The Bishop's Wife. It's a Christmas movie. Watch that one.
Okay. Interesting. Good. But he had a really difficult growing up. His mother suffered from depression. His father was a philanderer, abandoned the family young for another woman. She was committed to a psychiatric hospital when Archie was only 10. So he ran away from home at 13. And then at 16, he left England aboard a liner, the Olympic, and already was an actor. So he had a difficult beginning, but obviously became a popular, gifted actor, greatest male star of all time. And so he was in Notorious. And he was also, was he not? He was in North by Northwest, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that one. With the plane scene.
Yeah, if somebody talks about Hitchcock, that running down the road with a plane chasing him is like one of the most famous scenes of a Hitchcock movie.
It's iconic, yeah.
That and the Vertigo staircase.
Yes, yeah. What I didn't know about Cary Grant was that he was one of the greatest Nazi hunters from Hollywood. So not only a spy in the movie, but he was also sort of, he famously, he outed legend Errol Flynn as a Nazi sympathizer.
Ooh.
And he investigated the former German husband of actress Barbara Hutton, who apparently later married after that. And he donated his salaries throughout the war to the British War Relief and the Red Cross. That's
because
impressive.
He was British.
Well, he was British, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
That's kind of cool. I love this one. Edith Claire Posner, who married Charles Frederick Head. So Edith Head. Was born in 1879 in San Bernardino, California, and raised in California. Daughter of Carl Maximilian Posner and Anne Elizabeth Leary Spare. Received a BA in French. She went on to become a costume designer. And she was notable for designing Dorothy Lamour's trademark sarong dress, and then became a household name after Academy Awards created a new category for costume designer. You can see there from 1951, the costumes that she designed for Victor Mature and Hedy Lamarr.
Can we have a timeout for just a second?
Sure
we're talking about costumes.
Yes.
Again, we only have one photo of the week, and I'm going to show it real quick, and then I'm going to show something else real quick. Here is the one photo of the week.
Okay. Oh, that's so great.
Why hasn't anybody else posted a photo of the week? No idea. But here's the one you all want to see. You ready?
Oh, okay.
Drum roll. Guess who this is?
Is that Sarah?
That's Sarah.
All right. Oh, that's great. Yay, Sarah, you're on. You made it for this week.
Glasses.
Oh, no.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's excellent. So
Sarah is our other host who abandons us because she has to work.
She has to work
on Saturdays during the Christmas season.
Imagine that craziness.
We haven't even had U.S. Thanksgiving yet.
I know. Anyways, the thing that I like, so Edith Head was very famous. She also did design for some Alfred Hitchcock movies. And does it say here which one? Oh, because she partnered with Alfred Hitchcock and designed for him. Also went on to design the U.S. Coast Guard women's uniform. But the thing I love is that look at her picture here. Okay, that's. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
There we go. I gotcha.
Okay, you see? Okay, so there's Edith Head.
Yep.
Now, if you've watched the movie The Incredibles,
yep,
then looking at this, you will recognize that the character who was the costume designer for The Incredibles Supers family was Edna Mode, who was a caricature of Edith Head.
And is Linda Hunt a caricature of her as well?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. From she was on NCIS LA, was it? She was on one of the NCIS.
Oh, I know who you mean. That actress.
Played in a movie, played a man in a movie about a photographer, Ying or Nguyen in Vietnam. Amazing actress. But yes. I always compare the two when I think of them.
Yes, you're right. They do look similar. Yeah. But anyways, that's great. So that was a nice homage to her, I thought. Very cool. Edna Mode. The real Edna Mode is Edith Head. Moving on, we have 3 minutes to get through. So Tippi Hedren, who was one of the beloved actresses that Alfred Hitchcock liked to work with. She was famous for her time in the movie The Birds, right? And she is still alive. Hence, her profile is pretty spare.
And she's the mother of Melanie Griffith.
What's that?
She's the mother of Melanie Griffith.
Melanie Griffith. Yes, I didn't realize that until I just read that.
Yep.
When I was doing some prep. So that's pretty
people
cool.
are posting some calendar events. I will get to those as soon as we can get Greg to shut up. Man.
Okay. Max Herman. Max Herman is a famous conductor and composer, and his connection to Hitchcock was he composed the score for Psycho. So think of the shower scene and the violins going.
I think about that every time I have to close a shower curtain. I don't have shower curtains anymore.
Yeah. So this is a really cool, very interesting profile that I'm not going to have time to read. But anyways, that was his claim to fame. The most famous connection to Hitchcock was that. Janet Leigh, of course, was in the shower in Psycho. And so she received a Golden Globe, Best Supporting Actress, and that was her. She was in it there, and she lived to be 77, and she is the mother of Jamie Lee Curtis. So all these family connections.
Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Something in the air.
Yeah, Mildred Natwick, who is my closest connection, gifted award-winning actress who appeared on stage. Did lots of things. I love this. So this is a picture of a movie Hamlet. When she was in 55. But look who her co-star is. Do you recognize that lady?
Angela Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury.
Who
young
just died.
Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
Who also lost too soon.
Yeah.
And she is the subject of an upcoming WikiTree challenge, right? Yes.
We'll find out shortly.
which you'll find out shortly. Yes. So Mildred's connection with Hitchcock was, where was she? The Trouble with Harry.
The Trouble with Harry. I liked that one.
Yeah, I don't think I've got to watch that one. I haven't seen that one. Then we have Anthony Perkins, of course, was Norman Bates, and from 1932 to 1992, died at the age of 60.
One of my closest. I have 3 that are the same level, and Anthony Perkins is one of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the final one is James Maitland Stewart, also known as Jimmy Stewart, everyone's favorite. Beloved, one of the most beloved actors, of course.
Mr. Smith Goes to Congress.
Mr. Smith Goes to Congress. He was in, it was Vertigo and Rearview Mirror, right? Or Rear Mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rearview Mirror.
Yeah.
So he's done. Are you done already?
I'm done. That's it.
Wow.
That's the worldwide tour. I could spend
Jimmy Stewart too.
Longer, but I'm not going to.
Okay, so we did have some people trying to pop in, and we'll do this real quickly for everybody. Let me show mine back up again. We've got some things coming up. Roger Federer's WikiTree Challenge highlights. You can go to our G2G feed by clicking on your My WikiTree drop down, going down to G2G feed, and then click on questions. And you'll see the pinned questions at the top for the WikiTree Challenge highlights for Federer. Aowen's asking, why do you love WikiTree? I imagine she's trying to find out some information for upcoming events. The WikiTree Challenge 21. Angela Lansbury. It's coming up. So if you want to register to work on that. The Hacktoberfest, week 4. Jamie Nelson posted that, but we all know. Show us your shirt again. Go ahead. Show us your shirt. There you go. So think about that. And also, Mindy said, let's see, Betsy Coe, she posted this, and then she corrected herself and said, no, it's actually Zoom Basics on the 3rd and the 6th. And then Mindy popped in and said, or me at noon for the WikiTree Challenge.
Today.
Boy, are we a busy bunch.
Yes.
Unless we just keep on talking, Greg.
Yeah, that's right.
then we could just keep everything going. Can you run 2 StreamYard broadcasts at the same time?
What's that?
I said, can you?
Oh, can we? Oh, that's a good question. Probably not, I'm betting. Yeah.
No, yeah.
But I can't stay on because my granddaughter is being baptized this afternoon, so I have to take off shortly.
Yay! And I have to leave because my favorite healthy food restaurant in the world is closing its doors forever. And I have to go down. I might just go down, order a couple of ciders and just stay until they close and cry.
That's very sad.
So, hey, everybody, have a great week. There's lots of stuff coming up that we didn't even mention. You've got WikiTree Day coming up the weekend of November the 4th and 5th. The WikiTree Symposium. We were talking about this stuff already, but we didn't give you the date. So it's the 4th and the 5th of November, which is a week away. We won't be here at 10, but Greg and I both
we'll be somewhere at 10.
We'll be on air at 10 o'clock for the WikiTree Day stuff.
That's right.
First off, very first thing in the morning, I'm going to be interviewing Chris Whitten.
Ooh, excellent.
9 o'clock, there is a panel discussion with people, Rob Worth, and the future of
genealogy.
And then I am going to be presenting on DNA and WikiTree. Greg's going to be doing something over
the technology
on another
panel. Yes, and the Hacktoberfest.
There's stuff going on all day long.
Yeah. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
What's
at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, I'm doing an appetizing tour is the name of my presentation. I'm taking a tour through my apps, and at the end, I'm going to unveil a new app, which I will have not shown anyone else. So come and see the brand new app/game that I've made.
You haven't even shared that with me yet.
I know, I haven't.
He usually shares stuff with me. All right, you guys, have a great WikiTree week, and we'll see you next weekend for all of the fun of the WikiTree weekend. So, bye, everybody.
Bye.